Welcome to Creatively Speaking, Episode 2. I have a special guest today. You go by...
My real name's Danmond, but my artist name is Elwood Moon.
Elwood Moon. And I know you as Danmond is initially what you introduced me with, right? Is that what I remember?
Yeah.
Danmond. Now, like, we've been acquainted for maybe a couple months now, or I don't know. Am I keeping track of that right?
Let's just say 6.
Because I mean, we met at the there's an open mic in town here in Lex, and it's the Elkhorn Tavern. And also, wait, no, actually, because we did
The very first time was
the
at the Twisted Cork.
That's right. Yeah, it goes way back. But yeah, and then I stopped going there, and then I went to the tavern. So that's where we've been, more or less, hanging out with the music folks. So you said that you did like a new poem or something. Is that true? Is it
new poem?
You wrote a new poem this
that I sent you just today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What inspired that? What brought that on?
Let's think about that. I was driving around in my van, and the very first line came to me that seemed kind of clever. And I'm not looking at it right now, but it's something to the effect of, if you want me to get to know who you are, you better just show me who you really are. And I thought that was a good idea for a poem, because people need to come out of their shell. Or some people, many people, they may create a shell around themselves to protect themselves, but to find love, they could perhaps have a better chance of that happening if they could come out of their shell and people could see who they really are. So, like the first line says, just show me who you really are. So far, it's untitled. I haven't thought about that. I mean, it's all pretty fresh.
I like, because it kind of repeats that slip out of your jar statement, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was kind of the returning mantra of the poem.
Yeah.
I like that. It's so neat that you sent that, and it was just, you were inspired, and you like had this full body of work, and you just like said, hey, check this out. And I love that.
Well, I was glad I had something to send to you, because you had asked me to contact you about an hour before we were to get together. And I said, well, great. I got something to send him instead of just like, hey, see you soon. It was like, I have this thing. And I had been thinking for a couple of days, it's like, you've just been so busy catching up with everything else in your life. You haven't really spent much time being creative. And then this little thought came to me while I was going between one job and the next. And so as I had little pauses throughout my work afternoon, I added to it. And then I added a lot more to it last night. And then this morning I've finished up a few more thoughts to refine it. And then you got the currently finished result. Yeah.
How many verses are in that? Was that like, because that was a decent body of text.
Yeah, like 3 verses and 4. It's a little hard to say, because the very first thing you run into is basically the chorus, but it's not the final version of the chorus. The chorus changes a little bit. So the first verse is actually kind of the chorus, and then the chorus becomes something a little more defined that has the resolution of me finding love because I came out of my shell, and encouraging the other person to do that.
That's wonderful. But like, so is it because you have an intention to make it into a song? Is that Is that what I understand? Okay, okay. That's so cool. Yeah. So you are.
Otherwise, it wouldn't need the chorus.
Right. Really, so when you say chorus, I was like, is he going to turn it into a song? Because I figured that maybe sometimes you just kind of write, poetry on your own. You just kind of like, you're just looking for something to kind of express yourself.
No, I think all my poems are headed towards becoming a song.
So there will be composition added at a later time. Okay. So but that's another curiosity of mine. See, like this is exactly why I want to have people on, is because some people will have different, avenues of getting to their completion of their song. Some people will write the composition first. Some people will, write the lyrics first. And would you say that that's maybe an angle that you take, or how do you do that? How do you approach that?
I've tried writing lyrics to some music, and it doesn't work out so well for me. I tell everybody I'm a very bad musician. It's like I've tried all kinds of different musical instruments to make music. Always looking for a shortcut, and so the music I have made ends up being a patchwork of experimentation and editing. I will basically jam with a musical instrument, and even with my vocals, I will make a long recording trying different variations, trying to find what sounds good to me, and then listen back to all of that and use the best parts, the best 5 seconds, the best 10 seconds, the time that I kind of nailed what I was going for in my efforts to create that sound with a musical instrument. Because like I said, I'm a bad musician.
That's how you're framing it?
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, because I guess doing all the compositional stuff, it puts you in a different kind of I guess it locks you in a different angle, right? Because if you're doing the lyrics, you have your theme already set up, maybe, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to if you write the song chords, you got a sad sounding chord structure. I guess that maybe lines you up for maybe something more, not in what you had in mind initially, maybe.
Well, the I don't know if this addresses what you were asking, but when you write the words, and you write the lines, you have the phrases. That kind of determines what the tempo, how the music's going to sound, because it has to match that. So.
Okay. And how do you describe the content that because you're kind of we're already on the path of describing the content. How do you describe your content if you had to?
Do you mean genre?
Well, I don't know. Just anything that comes into that.
I've wondered about a genre, and it might be alternative rock, folk. I don't know. A lot of my poems and songs go with a little bit of angst and yearning and self-discovery. Tend to be my effort to remind people to get in the moment. I think for enjoying your life, you need to be able to do that. So much of your life goes by, and it's just routine and day to day, and you don't even think about it. And that's fine if you're a teenager, but when you reach a certain age, you start to think about, this isn't going to last forever. Let's make the most of it. And so I find myself wanting to remind people that that's important, that you need to pay attention to the minutes, and you need to make an effort to make the best of every day, of every minute. I mean, you don't need to be crazy about it, but you should give it a little more thought than you used to.
I love that. How did that perspective come into play for you? When was that? Was that recently, or is that something that has been kind of on your mind for a while now?
Well, one thing that changed for me, this happened during COVID. I went from being like raised in a religious conservative family environment to realizing that a lot of religion is kind of fabricated. And so suddenly I found myself free of the need to be a good person, to be a good Christian. And now I'm not worried about going to hell because I don't think it exists. But on the other hand, I can't look forward to living forever and going to heaven because I don't think that exists either. And some of my songs address this to basically say, when it's over, it's over. You know, when you're dead, you're gone. You can maybe write some songs to leave a legacy of yourself that will live beyond you. But other than that, you're just going to be lost in the swirl of eons of time as they go on without you when you're dead.
I love that, yeah, because you already basically like answered one of the sort of questions I was thinking, which is the topics that you write about, which is kind of, would you say it's kind of existential? It's more like kind of just your position in the universe, and
yeah.
I've seen some of your writing, and it has that
right. Kind of... Yeah, I'm interested in promoting thinking and thought about bigger things than girls and drugs and fun things of the day, and also tragedies of the past and your bad relationships that you've lived through and all that. So other people can write songs about that. I find myself writing songs that try to give people more big picture thinking.
Is there any things or people in your life that are inspiring the work, aside from sort of your spirituality and everything? Is there anything else? Is there family or friends or?
Well, I guess inspired by people around me, or yes, people in my family. People in my family get to hear my thoughts whenever I want to share them. I have a relationship with people in my family. I don't really need to write a song to explain myself to them. But writing songs is for the general population, or it's like all the people in the world who may not agree with what I think, but I think I have valid thoughts. These thoughts and opinions are working for me. I think people should give that some consideration and decide for themselves whether that can work for them.
So there's just thoughts that you want to share with people beyond your circle. Like you feel like there's things that you want to get out there.
Yes. My album, my first album, was a collection of songs that are kind of all with the same agenda, called Spiritual Things. These are songs that I've written that share my views about spirituality. And I think there are people out there who are searching and trying to figure things out. And these songs are now out there for them to find. And hopefully some people will find the answers I have to share very helpful. If I never put those songs together and didn't get them out into the world, then no one's going to find that. Now, because it's out there, that has that possibility. And I could spend more effort trying to collect people to bring them to my music, and I will probably do that. But now I'm just enjoying feeling more relaxed about having this big collection of new thoughts for me that I wanted to share for other people who could hopefully find the answers that I have found that make me feel good and happy and content about my life on this planet.
Because do you feel like there's a lack of voices talking about those subjects? In the creative world, I guess, more specifically.
I'm not sure if there's a genre or a group of people that are saying the same things I'm saying. Maybe we haven't found each other yet. But I think that there must be more people that have a similar journey to mine. And actually, there have been a few people that I've met just in our local Lexington music scene that have been on a similar spiritual journey, and I've shared my songs with them, and it seems as though they really appreciate and enjoy those songs. So it's good to find some kindred souls locally that I can talk to and relate to, that we can share our experiences.
Sure. And I guess, is there any like literature or any pieces of work that are influencing you as a writer, or is it just completely isolated on your own, and are you just kind of blocking out any influences, or how are you?
Well, I'll just say that there were when I was first searching during COVID, when I stopped going to church and I had my Sundays free, I had read some articles that were talking about big lies. I mean, it started off talking about a giant liar that's in all of our lives now, who's currently the president. An article about that begins talking about that, but then goes on to talk about other big lies, like, well, religion, that people in powerful places have chosen to use religion to their ends. Yes, religion has a helpful quality for helping people get along as a group. But the fact is, a lot of the stories are legend, they're myth, they're fantasy. And so I had found on YouTube some lectures by people who I found that I believed what they said about how the Bible was created and by who, and the facts about the Jesus and things like that, and miracles that are in the book. And so many people live and die by the words in that book. And in my mind, the words in that book can be helpful for many people, but it's just a story with a framework of some facts, but actually much of it is fabricated by humans. And so as you go forward through your life, you should consider the fact that if you choose to be heavily influenced by religion, you are choosing to allow fantasy to guide your choices. So yes, that one article and those YouTube videos gave me the information to think through some of these spiritual things, and it brought a real change to my outlook and who I want to be and what I want to do with the rest of my life.
And this was this was only in the COVID, that would be like 21, 22.
Yeah.
So this is a recent development.
Yeah.
You would say this is like a positive change in for you as a person, as an individual, and also your creativity, or?
I'd say it's a huge catalyst for creativity. It gave me a platform. It gave me something that I felt was important to say. Otherwise, yeah, I might be locked into talking about the pain and heartache of prior relationships and silly observations about things that I see people doing. There are songs about that, sure. And I've written some, but my primary focus for years there, till I got this album together, was getting those thoughts out for the public, for people who needed to hear that, who would hopefully find it supportive. I wanted that message to be out there for them.
So okay, I think that makes sense though, because like I guess like as you because you talk about time a lot, like when we're going through time, we're kind of having different experiences, right? It's not just like you're talking about like the topics of heartbreak and whining about some girl or something like that is more of a, I mean it's a universal thing, right? A lot of people can relate to that, but also people can relate to that existential topic. I mean that's,
well, some people can, some people never give it any thought.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is maybe like people that have been able to avoid going into that domain, maybe they have the ignorance is bliss kind of outlook. But I think that it's interesting that you're pointing out that like throughout your life, you're going to start talking about different things throughout, if you're a creative, your work is probably going to be reflective of that, right? I like to think that my work is reflective of my mood, so if like I look back and a lot of my writing was about, some girl or something, and then you can tell it was a lot of negativity, but then it changes maybe when you get to some positive development in your life and you can see the shift maybe. Have you seen that in your work? Has there been any like emotional change because of your mood, or is that just?
If I think about where I'm at and where I'm going, my age becomes a factor. And I think for the listening audience, everyone's getting older. And so hopefully an audience that needs to hear what I have to say, is interested in hearing and sharing what I have to say, is that same group of people like me, the young boomers who are becoming more and more capable with social media and finding things like my music in a way that they never would have 10, 20 years ago. I mean, it just wasn't there. The avenue to find things that you're interested in it wasn't there, and now it is. And so my hope, if I were ever to become famous, it would be because those people found me and shared what I was thinking with other people because they related to that. And it's my hope that that's helpful for other people.
So, I mean, that's a good cause, though, as far as like your endeavor to like make your work known is because you feel passionate about the message, right?
Yeah. And
getting through to people on like your time is precious and you don't want to dilly-dally, I guess. I feel like there is, a lot of people, a lot of musicians that I talk to that struggle with completing work. I mean, just between, your professional life or personal life and all these things going on, it's hard for people to find time to, and motivation and just time in general. Even when you have it, you're not motivated to like complete a project or something. And I don't really know, like, I mean, that varies from person to person. Your motivations, like you said, are you feel like passionate about the message. You want people to you want people to make use of that time. And I guess for me, I don't even know. I guess motivation is probably rooted in some sort of, I don't know. I guess I do want it to be recognized beyond myself. You know, like I want to know that it is like, I don't know. Like there's messages that are not only about, you know, some love thing. It's sometimes I do have existential writing moments, or it's like I do talk about time very heavily. And in those songs, I feel like they are more meaningful to me, and they talk about friends and people that I've known and throughout my life and where I am today. And I think those ones mean a lot more to me in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, I don't know. I guess I want people to know about those songs, but I don't know if they're as, I think it depends on the packaging as well. Like, I don't even know what catches people's attention these days. Again, like it's technology based, right? So it's a lot of it's very quick, and you know, you and me are using YouTube, and I'm finally branching into Spotify and things like that. But I mean, it's a there's a lot of weird little barriers I think that are still there, algorithms and things like that are playing a role in maybe not.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And I keep learning. And yes, if I had more time to devote to my music, I would probably be further ahead than I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
But my expectations are low. I'm pretty relaxed and basically just trying to enjoy steady motion forward rather than trying to make lightning strike.
Sure.
And I keep learning about songwriting. I want to do a better and better job of that. And sometimes I read books, sometimes I look at YouTube videos, I read articles. But a lot of it is just self-discovery, like write those poems and keep in mind what makes it a good poem, what makes it a song that a lot of people can relate to, that entertains people, that engages people. And there's one part of me wants to get very specific about tiny little details about the human existence. But then there's the other part of me that says, no, you need to write a song that's fairly generic about something that everybody's experiences frequently, because those are like meaningful, frequent moments for the human life. And so to write a song like that has that content, I think has a good chance of being successful, popular, to reach the level that people like it so much that they share it. You know, like so far, I don't think that happens very much with my music. With my album, Spiritual Things, hopefully that touches people enough that they do actually share it to people that they know who would also appreciate it. Many of my other songs that are more light and comical, I don't expect those to get shared frequently. But if I took the effort to get on a more active platform like TikTok or Instagram, then maybe some of my songs would get shared. And so, yes, at some point I'd like to step into those platforms a little more than just the tiniest little bit and see what happens.
So it is kind of a goal of yours to participate in the zeitgeist of things with the tech and everything. I mean, even if you know your message is kind of more mature in nature, and a lot of young people are the ones that I feel like a lot of young people consume media, right?
Yeah.
Could you say? And like, they're looking. I think there's a lot of flash and a lot of like quick, burst element to it. And with, the topics like you're talking about, they are more of like they're more slow burn, they're more like you have to sit and,
Yeah, well, when I'm dead and gone, those young people who don't care right now may find my music. It may still be out there for them to find 20, 30 years from now. And, so maybe that's when they'll really come into their own, when more people find those messages and benefit from them.
Right. But you do think that it is important to participate in like the tech stuff with the TikTok and social media and all that? You think that is important?
Yeah, it's I think social media is very important if you want to share a message to a large number of people. There's really no other way. I mean,
right.
I'm not going to go on a world tour of stages to share things to crowds of people one night at a time. No, that's not going to happen.
But yeah, I mean, you care about your message, and that's what matters. I mean, you care about your work, and you want to get it to people, and I think that's a lot of creatives, and it's surprising to me how similar the messages end up being. I mean, a lot of music is like, I don't know. I always throw out numbers like 90% of it is like love songs and stuff like that in some form, right? And I guess it's like maybe what people are mainly preoccupied with, I guess, in their younger days. And then when they get older, like you said, like you get more, there's different themes you start exploring, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine, a lot of artists that I followed, their topics are changing as they get older too, Like, I don't know, James Taylor or something,
Yeah.
He probably, But he was always kind of a thoughtful writer, There's a lot of writers that have been kind of just generally thoughtful. They're not singing about they want to have a Lamborghini and a bunch of ladies dancing around, I mean, I'm not saying that because music can be fun. I mean, it's whatever. I mean, even Mozart wrote, he wrote the most obscene things, like he had the song that he literally wrote a song, Lick My Ass, like he did.
Oh.
Lick Mine Arsch is a song. But this is like a point I usually make, because I know that, hip hop is the biggest genre right now, I feel like, and of course pop, but hip hop is kind of dominating the top 50 and stuff like that. So, those messages are typically more rooted in like sort of fun and just sort of, I don't know, overindulgence maybe, but that's not to say that there isn't a place for that, right? Because every genre has its own sort of strength and weakness, and I think that's
music
great.
has many aspects, but a big one is entertainment, and so that opens the door to all kinds of subject matter as long as it's entertaining.
Right.
But yeah, and there's music with a message. Well, if you're entertained by a message, then you're still entertained. So. That's something I try to think about as I'm writing a song. If I am performing this song at an open mic or on a stage, or if someone has taken my song, has better skills for performance arts, how will that be received by the audience? Will they be entertained? That's important, because people don't want to just hear about how your dog died, unless maybe their dog just died and it's a sad story about your dog dying. But mostly people want to hear about happy-go-lucky, successful, happy time, joyful times. And yes, there's a lot of sad songs. Sometimes listening to a sad song actually kind of makes you feel better, because you're not in that position. But yeah, I want to consider writing any kind of song. I primarily want it to be entertaining. Yes, do I have an agenda with a message? Yes, for some songs I do, but I want to make songs that are entertaining.
Hey Dan, why do you think it is, actually staying on that topic of like being an entertainer fundamentally, right, like you're saying, why is it that like we do, why do people even care to listen to sad music? Why is there so much like, I don't know, there's so much anxiety and like all these other negative emotions tied to music a lot of times. Why do you think that is so, I don't know, it's just so standardized? And if you had to
which
guess,
type of music are you referring to?
well, just, I mean, just top, like just themes and lyrics that people are writing about, you know, it's, whether it's love unrequited or something like, you know, just anything kind of more, there's just so many minor chords going on, you know, in compositions. I mean, what do you think it is that makes people so drawn to like more sad, negative emotions in music and things like that than the positives?
I guess because everyone's had those sad moments in their life, or most people have. I mean, me personally, I feel very fortunate to have avoided many sad relationships and all that simply by, I don't know, being single till I was 40. I didn't make a lot of stupid or bad decisions with relationships, and instead chose to remain single, even though that has its own challenges with loneliness and, you know, wishing you had somebody and all that. But no, I don't have a deep well of bad relationships to look back on and write a song about. Maybe that's why my songs are not like that. I know Taylor Swift has made a career of writing songs about relationship problems, and that's very entertaining for her audience. So there's that.
Right. There is a lot of writers, and I mean, like, even, I don't know, looking back into the 90s grunge scene, you know, there was extremely, like, I don't know, there was like a promotion of negative lyrical content, you know, in the, I don't know, in that zeitgeist or whatever. There was, you know, it was just very self-harm kind of stuff. I mean, it was very dark. Mm-hmm. And, you know, now we're 30 years later, but I don't know, I mean, it seems like a lot of the things I hear are very, I don't know, maybe I'm just focusing on the negatives. I mean, I think there are positive styles, like more funk and groovy stuff that's more bombastic and has more upbeat themes, and you can't really necessarily get away with the sad lyrical topic on a bombastic composition always. But
well, part of it maybe has to do with what your musical interests are, because as a much younger man, I was more exposed to like heavy metal, rock and roll, all those people, all those angry men writing songs and singing loudly about their life and how they've been mistreated and how they wished for this and wanted that, and they're bragging about how they did this and how they did that, and we're talking about women, you know, their conquests of that, and you know, that's pretty well all behind me. I mean, I almost cringe to listen to some of the music I liked for a period of years back then, but there was a lot of negativity presented, and yeah, I don't really know much about hip hop kind of music, but my opinion is that there's a lot of negativity there, being angry about your social position, the way you're treated by authorities, the way you're treated by, your neighbors. Yeah, that's never been a fan of that kind of music, and I don't really feel like I have the life experience to relate to that, you know.
So what did you grow up on? Like, I mean, what was those specific sort of, I don't know, bands or artists that you were referring to? Can you give any like specific names or?
Artists I used to listen to, the music I listened to was perhaps kind of rough and angry for the day, not women singing folk songs, and wasn't Puff the Magic Dragon, and listening to things like AC/DC and Black Sabbath and Ted Nugent. I liked the fast and loud sounds. I liked some of the subject matter. But I think that about the time I was moving on from that and going more into classic rock, or maybe even progressive rock, like some of my favorite bands back in the day, and we're talking about 1976, 77, 78, was Kansas and Boston. Those kind of bands were what I was listening to the most and enjoying. And as far as the heavy metal, doom metal, angry, shocking music, that kind of came later. I mean, I think the music moved in different directions, and I didn't follow that direction. The things like Metallica, Cannibal Corpse is a outstanding band name, and they were really pretty dark stuff. Like that was not a genre that I was interested in listening to.
But you're acquainted with them, and you've kind of heard some of their stuff, and you're like, this is
yes.
I
mean, it's been what 20 years now since I listened to some of that, and perhaps I was exposed to that because my children, or my older daughter, was listening to that kind of thing as she was going through one phase of her life.
Right. So you kind of, you had to kind of, meet with that genre at some point.
Yes. I was interested in knowing what her interests were, and so I was listening to some music like that to see what it was all about, and it didn't catch me and make me a fan.
I know we met at the Pink Floyd show at the Burl one time. Did you grow up with like a little bit of progressive psychedelic rock experimental stuff?
If you want to, other musicians and bands that I loved and listened to a lot were Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin.
You still enjoy those?
Yes,
today,
yes. I listened to that.
Those are kind of like fine wine. You can always return to them, and you can appreciate the actual craftsmanship of that.
Yeah, right. For Led Zeppelin, loved the musicianship and their choice of instruments. They bring in the mandolin sounds, really adds so much more to the songs.
They lay down a lot of folk elements.
And then with Pink Floyd, back in the day, me and everybody else was blown away with the technical parts, the electronic parts. How did they do that? How did they make those sounds? They were just so beautiful. And Well, now as a musician who has a studio full of computers that can make all kinds of sounds, I'm a little bit less impressed. But the fact that they did that way back then, that's impressive.
That's a great segue, though. I mean, I have one more question if we want to stay on this topic, but I guess, do you think that people that listen and consume the media, they get to define your music more than you get to at times? Or do you feel like, because I mean, you can articulate what you think it is, but then it seems like people are almost better at it than yourself sometimes, you know? I feel that way. Do you feel like people have to define your music or your creative work more than you?
You're asking if other people can define my music better than I can?
Well, do you feel like they end up defining it better? Because I mean, especially when not everybody is able to define what they're doing always. You know, they can't always articulate it. But you've already explained that you can. But I mean, do you think that is oftentimes?
Are you asking if other musicians and creative people can define what they're doing clearly? Or you're talking about the average listener who's listening in their car or listening on their phone to Spotify and whatever Spotify is feeding them?
Yeah, kind of that. I mean, kind of a combo of both, because musicians won't always really clearly know what it is. I don't know, maybe I'm just projecting, but I feel like some people just don't really know where they land stylistically. And then you have an audience of people that are just listeners, and they'll tell you kind of like, oh, you sound like so-and-so, and, you know, do you think there's anything to that, or do you think that you're clearly defined? I mean, you've already kind of explained to me what your thing is, but do you feel like people telling you what you sound like, is that helpful to, like, where you land as a creative?
When people say that I sound like somebody else, and often that's Neil Young. However, people have said I sound like Neil Young. I wish I sounded like Tom Petty. Let me also add that I've been a huge fan of Tom Petty for many, many years, and I try to emulate his songwriting to some degree. I feel like he has such a reputation for songwriting that some of his songs are not as superlative as people might say, but his fame and reputation carries the song in a way that if I would write the exact same song, people would say, it's a song.
Very true.
One thing that I've always looked up to Tom Petty for was how he lived his personal life and how he related to the music business, the things he did to try to even the playing field. You know, I always have appreciated that about him, that he wasn't just in it for the money. He wasn't just in it for the fame. He used the powers that he had to try to improve music for everybody.
Tom Petty. Yeah, no, Tom Petty, he's a great writer. But I mean, like, so you're saying that if people compare you to that, like, there's good traits that you do associate with him on, I guess? Is that fair to say, or?
Well, if people were to say,
like, what element, I guess, is what I'm asking. Like, what element of Tom Petty do you when people say that, or you feel more related to Tom Petty as far as a creative versus what people are saying they're associating with Neil Young? So, do you feel that people are kind of maybe like off the
well, I would say that I haven't successfully emulated Tom Petty in the way that I hope to do. Because people say his songs are fairly simple, they tell a story that many people can relate to, and so I want to write songs like that. I want to write other songs that do other things, but I also want to write songs in the Tom Petty vein that people perceive as being simple and relatable.
What's your favorite Tom Petty song, Dan?
I love You Don't Know How It Feels to Be Me. You Don't Know How It Feels. I like a lot of his older stuff, like Refugee and Here Comes My Girl. And with Stevie Nicks, Stop Dragging My Heart Around. Great song.
That's cool that they did a little feature thing. Two good songwriters right there.
Yeah.
We did kind of touch on. So you would recommend Tom Petty if you had to be like, hey, check out this artist or writer, or is there any other writers that you would suggest?
You mean as a writer, not as a musician or performer?
Just I don't know, creative that you think is worth looking into. That is something like meaningful.
People say and want to emulate John Prine, and I'm honestly tired of hearing the same several songs. Maybe I should explore his entire body of work to learn more about it. And the same with Bob Dylan. I love some of those songs. All Along the Watchtower. Great song. And Tangled Up in Blue. Those are good songs, but the old folky kind of genre songs that he did early on, there's a lot of that. Does not entertain me very much. If I were to listen to that and try to gain something from it, it would be me trying to take a spin on what he was doing there, what he was saying there, and putting my own thoughts, an attitude onto it. Because, songwriter thoughts come from somewhere, and unless they're very, very specific and outdated, they still have value for another songwriter to use as information for creation.
Yeah, I think it's always a curiosity is just to explore your favorite writer and then see how they did things, and that's how I kind of figure out my writing process is to look at other people's. So I like that. This is the other thing I did want to touch on. It's kind of a big topic because I know that your creativity is. There is involvement of AI of some level.
Yeah.
And I was kind of curious, like, how does that all play into your work? How does the AI play into that?
I found AI just pretty recently, and yes, in the big scheme of things, it has only appeared very recently. And because I am such a bad musician, it's a great tool for me to be able to take my words and give the AI some prompts to say, make it rock music, put in some acoustic guitar, make it a male lower pitched voice. So hopefully it creates a song that I like to hear and I can actually sing. Because, yes, as a bad musician, it's hard for me to come up with the music part of it. So if I can use AI to make a song that puts my words to music, then I got a much better chance of saying, hey, I want to make a song like that. I want to sing that song. I want to play that song. As far as me being a bad musician, yes, I am taking guitar lessons now. It's going very slowly because I got a lot of other things to do. I've got tiny hands and short fingers. I'm an old mechanic, so moving my hands is maybe more challenging than for some people. But I'm trying to put together in the simplest fashion, using every shortcut I can come up with. Let's learn to make a song that says what I want to say with a melody that I like, that has simple chords, and I want to be able to play that guitar and sing that song simultaneously. I mean, for some people, they've learned how to do that. For me, I'm still trying. And another note, something I wanted to share is that I just have this feeling in my efforts to create music. Sometimes I have thoughts and sharing things or doing things that are so close to being the honest truth of what I want to be and what I want to do, that I become emotional, and like tears come, and it brings a catch to my voice. It stops me what I'm doing, and whereas I would like to continue forward with my creative process and don't want to be interrupted by that, but I appreciate it when that happens, because that is an indicator to me that something important and of great value is happening. And so I want to be able to channel that into my songwriting, my music creation, and hopefully I can share that, I can bring that out to other people through my music and songwriting, because I think that stuff is so valuable to me that hopefully that also will be found valuable by other people.
Right, and I mean, like, there is something to be, I do relate to that. Like, I have moments where when I'm writing, and like I get emotionally charged, and like it kind of breaks up the flow of it, like you said, but then it also kind of like reaffirms that what you're doing is meaningful to you, and that you want it to be shared and hopefully found meaningful to other people too. So I think that's beautiful. But I think that you're confirming what I kind of always thought was like AI kind of lowers the barrier of entry, right? So it doesn't prevent people from participating in creativity as much as it, I guess, it allows it to be more participating,
Yeah. Well, as me being a songwriter and bad musician, AI lets the music part happen. And so I can create a song on my own, and I don't need to collaborate with other people. That takes a lot more time and effort and money if you just go to a studio and you have hired people there. Something I've never done. I can only imagine what it's like, but I don't feel like I would thrive in that situation. Me being a mild-mannered, quiet, and newbie kind of songwriter person. I think it would be a huge waste of money and resources to go in that direction at this time. And so to be able to use AI computer program to make some choices and some prompts to create a song is a wonderful thing for me. And songs I've written, I have come up with a a name that kind of tempers the anger that people might have for me claiming that this is my song. I want to call it a lyric-driven demo. So that means I wrote the words. I chose the song, the sounds that you're hearing. A computer created it. The computer perhaps created 50 other versions that I did not approve of. I'm presenting this version because I approve of it. Now you know what I'm thinking. Come on, musicians, help me do this, a song just like this. It's a demo. It helped me present it to you. Let's take it forward from here. You know what I'm trying to do. Maybe we can do it even better. Yes, AI cannot replace the human factor, the human performance, but it can present it can be a vehicle, an example to capable musicians as to what to make the song into.
So it really is a tool, in the end. I mean, it's just so you can have it helps you figure out your sound a little bit more in a different, albeit a different way to get there, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of at least I'll speak for guitarists, they will kind of dabble in different genres and styles, and then they'll try to toy around with the guitar and figure out what they can do with it.
Yeah.
Tuning it this way, that way, doing chords different ways, inversions, all these little things. People that do their instrument a certain way that are not necessarily multi-instruments, they're more specifically specialized. They figure out through, I guess it is a more time-consuming process to do that. I will admit that. It hasn't come easy. It's one of those things that, I've kind of found chords that I like, chords that speak to me and the things that I want to say in a typical writing session. But I think that's kind of, it is enlightening though that you're telling me. It's insightful because you're telling me that you
I can't wait. My need to put out my message or my ideas and thoughts, even if they're just a little bit silly and fun. I can't wait until I know how to play the guitar and the keyboard and all that. I can't afford to pay other people to jump in there and take direction. I don't have time to learn all that just so I can make a song. And I don't have the resources like Michael Jackson, who I hear couldn't really play instruments, but he did a great job of telling people who could play instruments what he wanted to hear. Make it sound like this, do this. No, not that way, that way. Could I do that? Maybe I could. Never had a chance to try to be a music director to tell people, do it this way, don't do it that way. Try that. No, I don't like that. Try that. That's better. If I had real live musicians who would do that for me, that'd be great. I'd love to try it sometime. That's not going to happen, I don't think, ever in my lifetime, until if I were to get a little bit famous and people started paying attention and they realized that the songwriting I was doing was of excellent quality and they wanted to be a part of it. If that ever happened, that'd be great. Am I counting on that ever happening? I'm sure not. But I don't want to be held back from creating full songs. Songwriting's not enough for me. I want a song that says what I want to say, that I can sing that song in front of other people or for myself in my car.
That's a great thing. I mean, if as far as the AI thing, I mean, it's good to hear your perspective on this, because this is a hot topic right now in the creative scene. You keep saying like you're a bad musician. What is a good musician if you had to define it?
Oh, it's a guy who can play the guitar well. It's a guy who can play the keyboards well. It's a guy who can play several instruments, some of them better than others, but multiple. The guy who can produce his own song in his studio. It's the guy who can sit in front of a stage with his guitar and his cajon and entertain a crowd of people. And yes, hopefully not just background music. People start paying attention to it because they're liking what they hear and they're liking what they see. And yes, another part of being a musician, I think, is being a performer. And I do give some thought about how could I be that guy. I mean, that's really not in my personality to be outgoing and loud, but perhaps I need to develop that. I'm learning all kinds of things. I think I need to learn how to put myself in front of a crowd and make them glad that I'm there.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of shared human just feelings about, stage performance anxiety and things like that. I think a lot of, even the best of the best feel that way a lot of times. I don't make eye contact with when I perform. I'm so focused on performing it as accurately as I wrote it in my apartment. So I know what you're talking about there. I mean, I think we're all working on different things, right? And there are some people that are, exceptional and everything, but I think everybody's trying to get good in different levels, and
there are thousands of people like us that no one's ever really heard of in the big scheme. All we know about are the people that have made it, and those people are either exceptionally talented or kind of lucky to have everything in place that could put them in a position where they get in front of us repeatedly.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, I think you have a lot of the qualities, Dan. I mean, you are justifying your use for AI, and I mean, there is a lot of backlash, I think, within this decade that will come. This is going to be one of the dominating topics of creativity, no matter what. And I have to talk about this with a lot of people, I think, different perspectives. And I thought it was great to get yours. But I think that, yeah, I mean, it's just going to take time to get good at all the little aspects of being a musician. It's all a work in progress in my mind, Mm-hmm. You just kind of inch your way. I mean, you play an instrument. You just got to refine what you're doing with it, And then I think it all kind of comes together, like, over time. It's not an immediate thing. I was very impatient when I was like starting out, and I always wanted things to I don't know, I was looking for something but I couldn't define it, and that takes time. So I don't know, I don't really have patience. But is there anything else that you want to add to that topic? I mean, I feel like there is maybe similarities that I could say, like hip hop and rap and lo-fi music are genres that I've dabbled with and I listen to, and I think there's a similarity in AI music where it's like they sample things.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like mixing good parts of things and making a new final product, which is, I think AI is kind of playing that role of like, it's a tool. It's like I get 50 takes on a style to where this is what I wanted, like you were saying.
The most egregious use of AI would be the form where you just put in some little general idea of a song, like make a love ballad about a man and a woman at a campground. and the AI makes up the entire song with that little prompt.
Yep.
And you call that a song? Well, it was your concept and idea, but it's not. That's the worst example of what AI can do. And is it a song? Yes. From my experience with using that very, very basic information put into AI and see what you get, it's really lame. Like, maybe it'll get better with time, but now it's like that is not acceptable. People don't want to know or hear those cheesy lyrics that AI creates that follow the subject, but in a way that any self-respecting songwriter or even person who communicates with other people would never say it that way. So the way I use AI, I don't want to get lumped in with that lowest common denominator kind of thing, but I'm afraid that does happen. I think I'm more in a middle ground where my use of AI does the unthinkable and replaces live musicians, and that's a key, a sore point for people who have that capability and have spent a lifetime perfecting that skill, and to shortcut all of that just by using my computer, that they're not going to like that. But I'm sorry, I'm too impatient. I can't wait to put my words into song, and so I choose to do it that way.
Mm. And yeah, and like I said, you articulated it well enough for your reasonings. I mean, I think it's just going to be a lot of discussion around this topic and like where everybody's going to collectively agree. Like you said, there's different levels, right? Like there's people that prompt AI to create the entire thing. You're writing it, but you need the composition side of things. Yeah. So there's that difference. Some people will just let AI have it and do it all. And it was kind of funny because yesterday I was actually driving with a colleague. He's a young kid. He's like 22, and he was showing me a song on TikTok, right? And it had like silly lyrics, but it sounded like, because I've been keeping my ear to the ground a little bit and trying to check what's going on in the world. But as far as AI is concerned, and I kind of know the sound of an AI song, like lyrically, like generated,
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
You're right.
It's very distinguishable, yeah. And like, he was playing it, and I was like, that's an AI song, right? And I didn't even know it was. I was just taking a guess, but I was kind of like 90% sure. It was like a silly song, right? It was like about, I don't know, just the lyrical content was just a joke song. It was like obscene,
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, it isn't. And I was like, check it. And he's like, oh, it is. He checked it. Yeah. It says AI. That's wild. So I was like, yeah, that's kind of a lot of that conversation is going to happen. It's like, are the majority of people going to be able to distinguish those two things, or are they going to be indifferent? Like, I think we've talked about this, like the indifference about, the majority. Like, I think the majority will always win, right? And the majority is people that don't care, people that approve, combined versus the people that don't approve will always win. And so, if there's a decision being made or lack of decisions in the AI department, in the creative world, I think that's where there's going to be the biggest issues. Because, there's going to be people that, like you, are using it responsibly and using it, like, justifiably, but then there's other people that are just going to generate, 1,000 songs in a month, and then just, it's going to be that, and nobody, a lot of people won't tell the difference. They'll be like, that sounds great. It's on Walmart radio.
Right. Unfortunately, the bar for entertainment is pretty low when it comes to the quality of the music. It's if you give them a bouncy beat and entertaining lyrics, like obscene or hilarious or political. Uh, that's what people like.
Yeah.
They don't really care how this music was created, and even if it's of very good quality.
Right.
And so it comes down to it's a low bar required for to make it qualify as good entertainment.
Yes. I just wanted to like add to the point about how, yeah, it does lower the barrier of entry, but it also, and it is entertaining to the public. I mean, everybody gets to like make a song that's silly about their colleague or their friend, like this, you know, they have a habit they have and they can make a song about it. It's great. But I fear that there is like more sinister aspects of AI that will hurt creative people. And like you said, like people that have worked on an instrument for 20 years or something, I mean, I'm not saying that they'll necessarily be replaceable, but judging from like, I don't know, graphic art, you know, like just visual art has been kind of put in a weird spot right now. It's a very uncomfortable transition for the collective right now. We can all kind of admit to that. I mean, you got people that like did this drawing, I don't know, this painting or whatever, this poster, like that thing could be done more, I don't know, chaotically and just weird, and I'm looking at a poster that's got a bunch of just little weird little items on it, but basically like that was created by a person before AI was kind of like majorly involved in creative work. And I'm not saying that person won't have its place. Somebody will ask them like, hey, you know, like the musician, like you want him to do.
Did they paint it by hand?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think so. I think that was just like they did it on like a program probably, and then they
so they created it with a computer.
Right.
And they made choices with a mouse and a keyboard.
Yes. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, at what level? Because there's different people are going to feel. I don't know. The level and the line is going to be redefined. Is all I'm saying. Like over time. So whatever the collective decides on, because I feel like what's going to happen is that there will be like how there's an explicit lyric little label on albums.
Uh-huh.
That was like a thing that went through, I think it was a Supreme Court in the 90s or something.
Hip-hop brought
right?
that.
Yeah. So I think there will be an AI logo maybe on music. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly how the legal
or maybe a choice of sticker colors that shows the percentage of AI used.
Right. Like I don't know how exactly, like we don't know yet how the pieces will fall and how the dust is going to settle.
To move away from music AI and talking about AI in general, I and many others have this fear that we will be fooled by AI with news and information that can change an election, that can get people cowering in fear, that can get people fighting in a war and dying because they've been misrepresented by things that they see and hear that were falsely generated by AI. Remember a old radio broadcast, a story called War of the Worlds, where it was, are you familiar with this? It was a long time ago, back when radio was king. There was a play on the radio, The War of the Worlds, and people who tuned in and did not know that it was a play, they thought it was the ending of human life on the planet, that the aliens had arrived and they were just tearing things up and people were dying and people were really scared. It was just a show. But it's an example I'm using of how the general population can be fooled by a good reenactment of somebody's idea of a fearful situation. Same thing could happen, and not just to getting input to the ears, but to the ears and eyes, and it can all be fake. That's a scary thought.
Mm. No, it's getting it's like I said, it's kind of an uncomfortable transition, and a lot of people are feeling it now. And I was always concerned because I had known about it for years, and like I was already kind of in red alert when I saw the picture generating software that the people were using, and I was just like, that's kind of wild. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't need anybody to make a sign or
what's the technology that makes women look thinner and more beautiful? Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's an early
That's
example
true,
of things moving in that direction.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I guess the truth is going to get harder to
And now
to see.
you have filters on your phone to make you look less wrinkled for your photos, and probably even your selfies. That it can create altered video on the fly to misrepresent what you really look like.
Yeah, it's very weird times. Technology is a great tool, but it's also like a double-edged sword. I feel like a lot of times, every time we have a breakthrough technology-wise, we always look at like the positives, and then we never consider the consequences.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that will come from it that will hurt us. But I mean, if you want to be the optimist, you could say that it will solve a lot of our big problems that we don't have the imagination to do so on our own. Like we'll be able to travel through space, we'll be able to solve the common cold or cancer. But then there's other element, which is that the more jaded, cynical person would say, well, it's going to replace creative people, and we'll have a need to have people design a sign, maybe like even write a song for, I don't know, a business or something. Just be generated by computers. And that, I mean, in a lot of ways, maybe it'll create a different scenario where people that are using AI to make creative art, it'll be just the most mind-blowing, strange things you've seen.
Robots are building cars. Used to be people. And there are still some people working in the factory, but more and more of the process of putting the sheet metal together and all that, robots programmed by humans. But yes.
No, I mean, it's going to be the third industrial revolution for us, I guess, and we're seeing it happen. And yeah, I mean, I'm just concerned about the creative side because, like, for me personally, it took me a long time to find music as like sort of a way for me to express myself, and it was like it is kind of part of my identity. But now it feels like there's a part of me that feels like this, and I don't know if it's entirely right for me to feel this way, but I feel like it's being devalued, almost discouraged, and that's what my concern is. That I feel like people that pick up a guitar or pick up an instrument and try to, synchronize with that instrument and try to like convey their emotion through that is kind of be, discouraged because AI is more of an easier route for people to take now, and most people won't even be able to tell the difference at some point. And I think that within probably 5 years, I don't think content will be easy to distinguish. I mean, like you said,
I think the word you used early on there, devalued, speaks well to that, because it seems like technology and progress goes hand in hand with things getting devalued. Things that used to require effort and skill are being replaced with things that don't require effort and skill.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Technology is kind of, it's a weird thing. It's great, but it's also a problem. I don't know if we know exactly how to deal with it. We just kind of throw it in the mix and see what happens, Yeah. So I have one more question for you, Dan, and that is, if you had to define, in your own words, how would you define creativity?
How do I define creativity? It's something that comes to you for free, but it's also something that you can put effort towards to respond to it or encourage it, or to even recognize that something of value has come before you. What do you do with that? A creative person makes something out of it. Uncreative person either doesn't even see it, or they don't respond to it. They don't add to it. So creativity is such a blessing if you want it. It's free, but it's expendable. Like you don't have to do anything about it, but you can take advantage of it. And so, yeah, I want to be a person who recognizes it. I want to be a person who recognizes creativity with potential for expansion and whatever, because your creative mind can see a dozen little things. You can hear conversation and phrases that sound a little clever, and you say, hey, there's a song in that. That's a good idea. Let's work with that. But sometimes it's so cliche that you have to realize it's like, don't waste your effort redoing something that's already been done. You can put in that effort if you consider it training, if you consider it learning. There's always value in that. But when you only have a limited amount of time to put in to make the effort to create things, then you need to choose what you want to work with. For a creative person like me who sees potential in many things, I have to limit all the things, and hopefully I make good choices as to what I want to create, want to develop into something bigger, something better, to take that idea to the final conclusion, or close to it, to make it into a poem, make it into a song.
That's wonderful. One other thing is, would you like to let the listeners know where they can find your content?
What's that?
Where they can find your content?
Where they can find my content?
Yes.
My YouTube channel is Danmond 8886. That's lowercase DANMOON 8886. That's my YouTube channel. On Spotify, or my Spiritual Things album shows up on Spotify and many other platforms with my stage name, and I have included a fictional band as a nod to the AI help that the song has gotten. So that would be Elwood Moon and the Arthur Gents Band. Now, Arthur Gents, it's a clever rephrasing of the word artificial intelligence. So if that helps you understand why I chose that band name, there it is. So Elwood Moon and the Arthur Gents Band is the name that I put to my lyric-driven demos, and a few of my other songs that are more organically created by me in the studio playing instruments. But yeah, those are the two primary places you could find me and my identities. I'd like to add something about my creative process, and I don't know if you have a similar thoughts or feelings or idea. When I'm trying to be creative, make music, I'm in the studio, I'm playing a musical instrument, or I'm listening to music and trying to sing along with it. I get this little feeling that if I could just have my mindset right, I could move into this kind of creative nirvana where I can create spontaneously, where the music is happening and the thoughts that I have in my head are converted into words that I am singing that go along with the music, and the melody choosing to sing these words to matches the music well. And so I'm in a state of flow where I'm making music without all the previous effort and planning that if I had the skill or the luck or was just blessed with that ability frequently, that would make me so happy to be able to create music without effort. It sometimes seems like I'm so close to being there that it's tantalizing, but so far it's only been for a few seconds that I feel like I was in that space, and then it's gone, or blown away by the realization that I'm in that space, and then it's gone. To be able to develop the skill to stay in that space and create parts of songs or complete songs or several songs, that would be so amazing for me. And perhaps that will never happen. But it's like I get a little taste of that sometimes, and it makes me wish that I could have more.
Like you could prolong the effect, and then you could finish sort of maybe a composition idea or something.
Yeah, we'll call it improvisation. That to make something up out of the blue, on the fly, or maybe with having some thoughts previously about what I wanted to say, what I wanted a song to be about, and then just make it happen. Just make it happen while the microphones are on and the recording is recording, and I've got it down. That would be amazing. I would love to be able to do that.
I think that
Can anybody do that? Does that ever happen? Does that ever happen to you?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really like to. I think that people do kind of tend to make it into some sort of I don't know what you want to call it, but they kind of what's the word I'm thinking of? They make it into this sort of mysterious, magical moment.
It happens on TV and in the movies.
But it's like, I feel like, honestly, it's just when you're sitting alone and you have no distractions except for your own mind, and you're focusing on whatever it is you're going through at the moment, I think that that's like whenever you're sitting down with an instrument, ideally, at least for me, and I'll be going, I don't know, I'm just thinking about something that I'm going through, and it's really bothering me, and then you'll just kind of come up with something, you'll mess around long enough, maybe an hour or two. Sometimes it doesn't always work that way. I mean, sometimes, like I know what you're saying, like sometimes you'll have a moment where everything just falls into place and you're in this state of mind where the idea just flows, but then there's other times when it just won't. And I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that play into that. I think it's probably something to do with sleep, you know, all your basic needs. Your mind is distracted if it's not, like, you know, are you fed, are you well rested? And then you're just left with, once your basic needs are met, you're left with your emotional state, which is, you know, whatever it is you're going through, I think. If I wanted to be analytical about it, I guess that's how I would view it. And then you just have an instrument where you can kind of deal with conveying that emotion, I guess, through it, you know. I'm not really, I don't, sometimes I do have like an hour and 30-minute song and it comes together real quick, and other times it just takes days, you know, and I have to like reconfigure how things are said, and you know, I don't know, maybe the keys off or something. There's a lot of little elements that are still moving that I have to get all squared away, and I have to sit there and mull over if I even find the song meaningful in the moment, and I still want to get it done. I don't know if that's related to what you're saying, but I mean, as far as getting that state of mind, I think it's just being on your own and all other, you know, like distractions that are not your emotional state met. Like if you're distracted, I don't think you're gonna get there. I think if you have other things going on if there's like a washer going off in the hallway or something, that could be serving as a distraction. Like you have to kind of hone in on whatever you're doing, I guess. And,
perhaps distractions can be eliminated, or you can choose to ignore some distractions. Yes. Now, of course, if the fire alarm goes off, that's going to wreck it. But
right.
if the lawnmower keeps going past the window, if you say, it's a lawnmower going past the window, it's going to happen again. Right. It don't matter. Yes. Seen it a million times. And so that doesn't have to wreck it for you. But I guess let me say that for me, because I'm not such a good musician, having the instrument isn't the critical thing. I think if I could become so fluid at creating rhyme that I could improv rhyme to say what I'm thinking, then that would be wonderful. And if the beauty of editing is that if you pause while you think about what you're going to say next, you can edit out the pause. Unfortunately, on the phone, if you're trying to write down something in your notes and you're thinking about what to say next and you want it to rhyme and you want it to say what you wanted to say, by the time just before you say something, it like goes back to sleep or something. So that's ruined many a state of flow for me. But if there is a way to improve my ability to get into that state of flow, to improv a song, it's going to be that rhyming is so easy and natural for me that it allows me to just make verse that rhymes. That will I ever get there? I don't know, but that's if I want to work towards that, I think that will be the way to become so adept at creating rhyme out of thought with a command of the English language. That would allow me to freely improv song lyrics.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like writing, clever and articulative songs is kind of tied to. I like to think that it's tied to if you're a well-read literary person, but I've not read that much literature, and I think that's probably where the weakness is starting to show, at least for my personal self. But if you have bodies of work that you return to that are pretty, I don't know, even I feel like the Holy Scriptures and people that pull from those things, I mean those are very poetically written stories and everything, and I think that there's a wealth of inspiration there for people, I'm sure.
Don't feel discouraged by any lack of command of the English language, because even though I spend very little time reading books these days, I mean I read a lot on my computer and on my phone. But when I was much younger, I read a lot of books. And so I have a pretty good command of the English language, and sometimes I've been accused of using too many big words. But people don't really want to listen to a song that is full of complex thoughts and big words. I mean, yeah, it's clever. I enjoy a song that has some concepts and big words cleverly done. But to make a song that everybody's going to love, it's probably going to be Tom Petty simple.
Very much so. I think, it's hard to squeeze in a $10 word drop into a song.
Yeah.
I think there's something, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the most fancy words I've ever thrown in the mix. Probably like words like notion. But it's because those words like rhyme, I think that the ability for a word to rhyme is important.
Yeah.
I think you appreciate that as a poetry writer, I mean.
Well, in the poem I just wrote and sent you, subterfuge.
Yes.
I actually used a number of larger words in there, and perhaps to my own detriment, to use another big word. That like it maybe makes the song too complicated or whatever, but I don't care. It's my song.
Yeah, I mean,
I hope you liked it.
I think it's great to be articulative in songs. There is a point when
Yeah.
obviously you don't want to sound like an Oxford professor or something, but using the English language to its strength. I mean, how diverse it is. I mean, there's nothing. I think that's great. It's just finding the practical way to do that. It's not always easy to do it with a lot of words that syllables. Like if there's too many syllables in a word, it's a little trickier to do it, and you got to do a little bit more. I don't know. You got to do some more finagling, putting it in a line.
Yeah. Well,
so
one thing I learned about songwriting, I become aware of how the accent on different words happens, and when you use it in a song, it becomes very important, because even though the word might rhyme with the other word, if the accent doesn't come at the beginning like it should, or like at the end like it should, it throws off the whole phrase. See, like the flow, the balance or whatever of the phrase and the line and the lyric, it has to work together. It's got to be one way or the other. A lot of good ways to say something, or good words you could use, they just don't work because of where the accent falls in comparison to the other words around it.
yes, very much so. One more thing I'm curious about. You had a Sweetwater photo. You were standing in front of a Sweetwater sign.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me about that? Is that where I think it is? Is that the?
Yeah. That's the Sweetwater business.
Okay, right on. Is it Fort? It's not Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah,
you talking about? Yeah. So how was that? Did you? How did that come about?
It's an amazing store. I was there twice. The story, unless you want to know more about the store, in part of my effort to expand my horizons and go back and visit old haunts. I went back to the town I lived in for 15 or so years, Goshen, Indiana. It's up on the north side, close to Michigan. And I had numerous friends still living there. And so I said, I'm going to make me a trip up there and I'm going to visit some people. And I met some new people and I saw some old people, and it was a great, great time. I actually wrote a song about it called Home Again. I'm not good with remembering my own stuff. But yeah, I wrote a song about that journey. There's a music video. It's on my YouTube channel. But part of that journey involved going right past Sweetwater. So I stopped in there, looked through the store, talked to a salesman about a keyboard that I'd been interested in. Went on to my weekend with friends and did a little research about the keyboard, and then on the way back I bought the keyboard and took it home with me. So not only went to the store, which was an amazing amount of gear they have in there, plus like other things to do and entertain you, displays and a restaurant and this and that. But great experience if you're a gearhead, and I am. I have way more gear than I deserve.
That's what I was kind of curious, and that's cool that you've been there, though. Fort Wayne, Indiana, Sweetwater. I know Sweetwater has been, I got the amp from them, some of the gear. They're very timely, and they also like contact you back. They have that customer service kind of thing, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Dan. I mean, if there's any other things, I think we've touched on everything that I was curious about from your perspective, and then and then some, which was great. But yeah, I think we'll be back next month with another episode. I already have the guest lined up, but it has been a pleasure and a privilege to have some time with Dan here from the local scene. Give his material a listen, check it out, and stay tuned for more. Thank you for listening.